Hello, and welcome. Our time. Or Jagged Orbit, or whatever the hell is this called now. Is it a brunch show? Who knows? But it's me, your friendly host Dave. Our other friendly host, Jasmine, is sadly out this evening, as she very successfully celebrated New Year's last night, as you may have seen a little bit of on last night's brunch show. Brunch show. It was a brunch show. A party show with some cooking and some games and some great friends. Thanks again to Sarah and Miranda who joined us last night. Both of them, I would say especially Sarah, but really especially both, because Miranda just traveled a great distance and moved, and then just offered to be on the show, which was awesome. And Sarah finished work and apparently was hanging out outside with her dog who was getting disturbed by the fireworks for a couple hours. So, troopers both, and very awesome. Thank you again. Thanks to everyone who has joined us in the chat. That was a lot of fun. And as you can see, I actually am not sick from the food that I ate last night. Jasmine is not sick from the food either, but she had a very exhausting evening, and I think got to bed around 3:30. By the way, PBS at like those alternate PBS broadcast channels, they have like Nova and Nature docs at like 2 or 3 in the morning. Very excellent. Highly recommend a late night UHF TV viewing. I think Weird Al talked about that some, huh? Okay, but last night we did not finish something, and that was the, as Skylar in chat put it, the creme brulee. I just wanted to show you all that it did get done. I'm gonna have to turn off the green screen effect here. So, that's the problem with this kind of thing, right? Chroma key. Can I just disable it for the... Put on blue. Whoa. I'm just not gonna mess with it. Never mind. Basically, here's the creme brulee, and if you're thinking this does not look like creme brulee, we could not put it on fire. We do not have a little torch. Jasmine did not feel comfortable doing that, but she cooked up some sugar and added it to it to make it fancy. It's actually pretty good. The caramelized sugar, which is, you know, the top of a creme brulee. They just caramelize it. When you get it, that's the fire. So I'm gonna try it. And this is not our intention to make this a cooking and eating show, at least not intentionally. But, hey, hang out with us long enough, there's going to be a lot of cooking and eating. Damn. Oh, so, it's a very hard top, but this is made from, like, the McDonald's ingredients, and now, like, the green screen effect's kicking in because it's mostly yellow in there. Okay, unlike much of what was made last night, this is legit great. So, yes, you can make a creme brulee from McDonald's and it'll taste good as hell. Fun fact. Oh. Anyway, extremely good. Props to my co-host who is not behind a green screen recovering whatsoever. Thank you again, Jasmine. Alright. So, creme brulee made from Mickey's ice cream, pretty good. I hope everyone has recovered nicely from their New Year's Eve, or is not recovering at all because you're doing great. And one thing that was missing from last night's show that maybe many shows had an interminable amount of, which was a year in review top 10. We like to be an alternative for that kind of thing. Besides, why not look back at the year once it's done, instead of as it's closing? Because what could have happened? Maybe in the last hour of 2020 in the last time zone, a nuclear strike occurred. Aliens could have landed. Our awful president could have, like, farted live on television, and then all the media would, like, make a big roundabout covering that, instead of, you know, giving us money to live. Anyway, that's the last political. We're gonna talk some about top 10 lists. Everyone loves them. That is why I used David Letterman, a man I used to stay up late to watch. And fun fact, My mom called my bluff once when I was like, I think I was like 8 or 9 years old, and was like, I want to watch Letterman, because I got it in my head that I want to watch Letterman, because I'm old. This was like 89. And she said, sure, Dave, you child, do it, but you have to get up for school in the morning. Well, I discovered coffee. So I just drank coffee and watched David Letterman. Then I got up for school in the morning because little kids are little monsters that never seem to need sleep or like normal things. So my mom's thing backfired and probably helped turn me into the weirdo I am today. Thanks, Mom. Actually, that was pretty great. So, just gonna do a few top 10s. We're just chilling out tonight. Boom. What do we got? Alright. I'm going to switch our seat. What would normally be space news, but this is the news of news. A review of top 10 lists. A review of reviews. I don't have many top 10 lists. This is not going to be very long. I almost even just toyed with just eating the creme brulee and going, good job, and then closing out. Everyone's tired and sleepy, but I see there's a couple of you on right now, so hey, awesome. Thanks for joining. I hope you're feeling great, and I hope you're looking forward to a new, fresh start for a new year. I'm trying not to be too cynical about it. So, flushing our cynicism aside, mostly, let's take a peek at top 10 astronomy things from 2020, or the top astronomy news stories of 2020 from Sky and Telescope. That's kind of one of my go-to amateur astronomy publications. Their website's great. I actually get the magazine because they have cool charts and stuff. They also send. I like to hang up and chart around. Other funny thing is there's also earthsky.org, very good, but I did not see if they had a top whatever list. But there's gonna be a few other fun stuff. Anyway, you see this beautiful road going down to the Milky Way, which looks very much like a road I've taken in the American Southwest. It actually looks like the Mojave, but flooded. I don't know exactly where this is. Perhaps I scroll down. This is just the Sky and Telescope online photo gallery. I don't know where that was from. But let's see. 13 stories. A very appropriate number for 2020. What do we got? COVID news. You can't... I've tried to keep this COVID light. That's all we're talking about. And President light. So, but... This is lists. But a weird thing. Telescope sales went crazily through the roof this year because people are at home and looking for things to do in their backyard, and you can just look at the stars in the backyard with your telescope. My recommendation, if you want to start, actually get 10 by 50 binoculars first and not a telescope, because they're useful for lots of stuff like bird watching and whatever. And if you really dig binoculars, then drop for a scope, and not a huge or fancy one unless you're rich, then go nuts. But anyway, yeah, side effect of COVID. Big, huge boost in telescope sales. But yeah, a lot of shutdowns did happen too because you had to get staff somehow out there or not. Even it's funny because a lot of these telescope sites, the operations sites, are extremely isolated. But that also means you needed to really get your COVID stuff sorted out. Remote communities were had to really lock down, or they would risk being extremely devastated. I'm a big sucker for northern Canada, tundra. Arctic Circle living. Well, not even Arctic Circle, anything near the 60th parallel. Even below. Yellowknife's technically not there. And yeah, the town extremely mad when a couple flew in from another part of Canada or drove in to be we just want to ride out the pandemic here. And, you just came from the pandemic area. Don't stay here. Anyway, a technician or scientist going to a remote location. Same thing, they might be fine and then someone brings it, so they had to sort that stuff out. Anyway, Jupiter and Saturn. Did you see it? You can still see it now. It won't be as close, but they'll still be pretty close, but they're rapidly fading into the sunset. If you got those binoculars, though, you might be able to catch them even through the glare right after the sunset. And of course, don't ever look at the sun with binoculars, please. Salute to Jupiter and Saturn. We'll see you again in another 20 years or so. That close together, or close-ish together. The worst, Arecibo, the big, giant, iconic radio telescope. People call it the Golden Eye telescope. Collapsed, finally. They had a years-long breakdown, but funny enough, some people like my dad was here the other day and asked. So they just, but I heard they hadn't even done anything with it for like a long time, and the thing is, it's funny enough they have, and they're still doing stuff at the facility, just not with that one massive telescope. They still have like a 12-meter telescope that's very useful, and some other LiDAR installations and stuff too. But yeah, there is a new thing today where the Puerto Rican government was trying to raise about $8 million, or allocated $8 million to help restart the observatory. The NSF had a kind of a cagey comment, which is basically amounted to, that's great, but we still need to sort our own funding out, and also the administrations are changing right now, and we don't know what's going on. I think a lot of the people would love to see Arecibo open again, and that telescope, or completely reopen, that big telescope in particular, right? Or bigger. Can't really get much bigger. Like for now, there's that one in China that's actually bigger, but doesn't have as fine a resolution at certain wavelengths, so, you know, so it goes. And of course, people, US people in particular, are very cagey about working with China. So, Arecibo, the saga continues. Let's hope for the best. Yeah, a lot of sample return missions from space this year, which was pretty awesome. This is from asteroid Bennu, right here. Yeah, okay. The tag operation where it dropped down, kind of like blew compressed air down and like recirculated it back into that like Roomba looking thing there. Yeah, and the JAXA mission also did something, and overlooked, I forgot, the Chang'e mission brought back stuff from the moon, from China. So lots of stuff starting to come back from space this year. It's kind of fascinating. So far so good. Of course, you know the joke, they're gonna bring something gross back. Fine. No one's towing giant asteroids back to Earth yet, so that's the dangerous part. There's a big set of stuff about gravitational wave astronomy. That's basically related to, if you heard about people talk about those like detecting gravitational waves, which are different from gravity waves, confusingly enough, from like a neutron star and black hole mergers. So they've been released some more merger data, and I actually haven't read this much yet. So the LIGO and Virgo gravitational wave collaborations have released their newest catalog of mergers, including one collision between neutron stars in a bevy of black hole cataclysms. Some of the results came out piecemeal throughout the year, including the most massive merger yet and a meeting of mismatched black holes. And most significantly, the catalog as a whole points to a population of black holes far more massive than we had expected, with implications for star formation and black hole formation. And that is something, remember, there was the whole, these black holes are too big to exist, but here they are. And there's enough of them that they're merging. So that's some crazy stuff. It's pretty cool. And it's been such a weird year. Remember when people weren't sure if Betelgeuse was gonna blow up? Remember that? Technically it started 2019, but I remember looking at it and taking pictures in early 2020 in the freezing snow before maple season. And yeah, it didn't blow up. They think it was a lot of dust, but they're still fascinated by why that is, and they don't entirely understand all the mechanisms. So go Betelgeuse. You're a cool star. Would still like to see a supernova go up in my lifetime and light up the night sky like it was daytime, or at least cast some shadows. Oh, what is this? Faint radio bursts revealed. The brief but powerful radio flashes known as fast radio bursts have been an enigma. Blah 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 blah. They observed a signal characteristic coming from a magnetar, which is a very weird neutron star, super magnetic, which has changed the field. So apparently that's a clue to help figure out what fast radio bursts are, which, you know, sadly probably aren't related to some kind of alien, you know, super civilization using them as communications or power sources or something. A natural process most likely, but lots more to be found out. And magnetars are so cool. I highly recommend looking up magnetars. They're fascinating and weird. And this is a big thing. I actually just moved to New York October 2019. It's my home, New York State. But yeah, California, those observatories getting caught in a wildfire. Also in Arizona, I believe. It's been a bad year for climate change and observatories. Arecibo, I believe, also a victim of two-part climate change and deferred maintenance, which, in a way, these observatories might be too, because you gotta also keep the area around them clear. But I mean, you can only clear so much before just a fire devastates everything. So, in case of them, it's even worse. Yeah, in the Tri-Valley Astronomers, they lost their observatory. I've actually lived near there. Know some of them. They're very nice. That really sucks. Hopefully, Blick Observatory, now this can remain unburned. Wilson, really horrifying. What was not horrifying? Didn't we all love Comet Neowise, folks? That was actually awesome. And yeah, I got to see that with my naked eyes a couple nights in a row. I knew other people that were able to see it. And it was just, everyone got to like hang out and be like, this is great, there's a comet. Like, COVID's like starting to rampage, we can't really see people, but we can see the comet and talk to each other about the comet. That was really nice. I really liked the comet. The comet was cool. I'd like more comets. I think in another top 10 list they talk about the comet that they thought was going to be like Comet Neowise, but wasn't and broke up, and then we got a Comet Neowise. I think it was Comet Atlas. It was a year of interesting comets. Everyone kept expecting the big comet and getting disappointed until we got one, so at least something panned out. And yeah, life on Venus, that whole thing, they don't know. So they detected phosphine, and they said they didn't. Then old data said they might have gotten some in the 70s, and then maybe not because they didn't look right. All it means is we got to look some more. And I am honestly fine with checking out Venus some more because it is a weird world. And just our early investigations of Venus warned us to like the real deadly nature of the greenhouse effect for Earth. We knew there was one, but we didn't know how big. And that's actually, I believe, something Carl Sagan's early career revolved around. Believe it or not. Pretty. The more you know, unless I'm wrong. But anyway, I'm fond of life being absolutely everywhere. Like, and not like little, but like probably microbes. I'd love there to be microbes on Venus. It might not be, but I'd love to, you know, send a Cloud City airship or something over to check it out. They did send balloons there, and the Russians, the Soviet Union did in the 70s. I think the 80s might have done that, like probe the atmosphere with balloons, but it was fairly short-lived and not nearly as sophisticated as we could do now. Mars also was very bright this summer because it got real close to Earth, and we gotta wait a couple more years for that to happen again. Mars is a fascinating world just to watch naked eye because you'll see it dip in and out of brightness. Like, it'll be like super dim when it's furthest away from Earth and then super bright when it's close. And the color to me seems to change too. Just a little bit. Might just be the brightness with my eye, because your eye detects color. Probably all it is, because your eye picks up on color more the brighter it is. That's why we see better at night in black and white, basically, because the dark sensors in our eyes, so to speak, are black and white, and our the color detecting parts of our eyes, the names of which I forget, those are much more sensitive to bright light. So, the more you know. And that's why Mars might seem redder the brighter it is. Some astronomers won a black hole prize. Black hole prize. 3 researchers, Roger Penrose, was a physics polymath, as they say here, Reinhard Genzel and Andrea Getz, and apologies for mispronouncing any names, they won the 2020 Nobel Prize in Physics for their efforts for demonstrating mathematically that black holes are inevitable. That's badass. And developed ideas critical to our understanding of how they work. That was Penrose, and Getz and Genzel undertook decades of observations of the stars orbiting the invisible 4 million solar mass behemoth at the center of our galaxy. That's a great movie to check out. If you haven't seen it, there's some videos of the orbits of the stars near the center of the black hole, and this is, I believe, a simulation of that, as it says here, but there's like some video, I believe, or a GIF released somewhere. Check that out. The approximate extent of the stars that came from the fossil galaxy known as Heracles. So, oh yeah, the Gaia mission. It's this really cool mission. It's kind of low-key. Most folks probably haven't heard of it. It's a satellite that just surveys the sky. It's in orbit, and it just surveys the sky constantly as we orbit the sun. And it's doing measurements of the nearby stars. Like, basically, it's an astrometry mission. And that means it's pinpointing locations of stars and other objects. Primarily stars. And that just means... it's kind of like surveyor work, basically, where every 6 months, you know, detects the movements of different stars. It's looking... Oh, I'm tired, too. Basically, it's doing trigonometry to compare the positions of stars. It's very sensitive, and so, while it doesn't work for a lot of stars, previous missions, this can see and pinpoint more accurately the locations of a lot more stars using trig. Basically, taking a picture of the star on one end of the sun's orbiting the sun and Earth, and then taking another picture at the opposite end of that orbit. So, I think it's orbiting the Earth, it's orbiting the sun, so every 6 months it compares the pictures about. And I might be misrepresenting some of that. Long and short, we're going to know the sky's better, and it's found some fossil galaxies, like stuff that's like never been really noticed before. It's more sensitive to things, so it notices like even some, I believe, some near Earth objects that might get picked up. It's great, and it also like it's kind of you do a deep dive into the stars, certain star sections on Wikipedia, and many of them have entries, especially the brighter ones, debating exactly how many light years they're away. Here's an interesting thing: the brighter a star is, the harder it is to study. Because it floods the telescope more. In short, it's harder to see dimmer companions around brighter stars, and it messes with a lot of the techniques they use to measure exact location, because it's harder to get a point-like sample of it, as my understanding goes. Pardon me. So, Guy is helping to refine some of those measurements and settle some of those disputes, which might seem more abstract now, but if you're actually concerned with, say, a star going supernova and you're worried if it's 100 light years too close, or if it's in the safe zone, it'd be nice to know. That's not super urgent because it's probably never going to happen to that level, but say if you're plotting a nascent interstellar mission or trying to broadcast something to a star, Lord help us if we do. I don't trust those aliens. But you'd want to know exactly where the star is, and that's why this is important for working towards the future. And let's check out another astronomy-related top 10, and then I'm going to switch out of astronomy space. There was a lot of space news this year. Oh boy. There's a new solar telescope that got launched. Christened. January 2020. Beautiful images of the sun. And I can't believe that they didn't include an image of... This is the observatory. And it's funny, I just said it's hard to study a star that's bright. And we're studying the sun. That's a little different. We can filter the sun's light and it's very close. The picture here is the most detailed picture yet taken of the actual surface of the sun, which is awesome. These are like... This picture here is about 4,350 miles. It's pretty wild. Very big star. And I think that square might be that, and not the smaller of the two squares here. So, and the more we know about the sun, the better we can predict things like, if, cool stuff like an aurora is going to come, or important stuff like we're going to get swamped by solar radiation, and we need to protect our electrical systems. Big old explosion rocking a distant cluster of galaxies. In Ophiuchus. So, the galaxy just kind of erupted. It's pretty cool. I don't know. The Betelgeuse thing again. So good. Yep, this was Comet Atlas breaking apart. That was the comet that folks were hoping was going to be the big event. And it broke apart, and everyone was like, well, we're screwed, nothing now. Thankfully, we got Neowise. Oh, yeah. Then they just figured out the folks say that the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs at the Chicxulub, with the Chicxulub crater, was literally the worst possible series of events possible. Very 2020. Like the angle that it hit, the speed what it hit, the area that it hit. All of those things were the worst possible combo. It's just amazing how shitty it was for the dinosaurs, which are still not extinct. Because we love birds, don't we, folks? But I mean, they're extinct. As far as T-Rexes. Europa. May it be habitable? Perhaps. We're gonna need to go look more, won't we? And we will. Anyway. Oh yeah! You know, that's coming up this year. Mars 2020 mission. Basically kind of based on the current, the rover that's on there now, the Curiosity rover. They launched another similar one to Mars in July. And it's going to get there, I believe, in February. So, I'm going to do what's coming up in 2020, probably next week. Talk about that some more. But very cool mission, and it's actually got some stuff that might help detect life. It doesn't actually have a life detection lab on it, but if by some chance it's a very obvious fossil, it has some cameras that might get it, but I don't think anyone really expects that. I kind of hope there will be. But it can actually gather interesting rocks together in a little cache. It can drill samples and cache those, and then stash all of it somewhere for either astronauts or another robot to pick up and then return back to Earth. So they're thinking ahead with that. Oh yeah, bacteria. They found some bacteria. Well, they stuck some bacteria in a sample area outside of the space station, and then pulled it back, and they found that bacteria were still alive after 3 years of exposure to space. So panspermia, the idea that, you know, space rocks going from planet to planet could spread the seeds of life. There's a boost there. Some people think that it's possible that we got life from Mars. Who knows? It's all speculation right now, frankly. But it's very fun. And an intermediate mass black hole was found. So yeah, a lot of black hole news this year. A lot of interesting stuff about the sizes of black holes. Now, the thing is, they always talk about it as a singularity, and they never talk about like that that they actually still have like mass in a weird way, like different masses. It's just like there's like a black hole. Once in a while, they mention is a supermassive one. But yeah, there's black holes of all shapes and sizes. Perhaps there's even tiny quantum ones. I have no idea how real that is. But stellar size ones like this and intermediate mass holes are very real, and they were found by a detection from the aforementioned LIGO Gravitational Observatory. And more news about water on the moon, this time from the SOFIA telescope, which, yes, it's that hole here on the side of that 747. There's a telescope mounted there and very sophisticated gimbals and mounting equipment. And it detected some water signatures. Why's the music still going? It's looping. I'm very sorry, folks. It's supposed to be pure intro. Do not loop. Stop. There we go. But anyway, again, this is not news to me. There's always water. There's barely any. It's not like they found an actual lake. But the interesting thing is, yeah, water still persists even in the sunlit areas of the sun. That's kind of the big thing. It's like, oh, it's even here, but it's not even like as much as like you dig like a square meter and you're gonna get this much water or something. It's like molecule. It's not much, you know. But and yes, RIP. This is actually what it looked like right before it crashed. Arecibo, we love you. And yeah, one of those sample returns that landed in the Outback. Flawless mission from the Hayabusa 2 from the Japanese Space Agency, JAXA. And yeah, they got to go retrieve their asteroid sample from the Outback. And they've been opening up and looking at the pieces. It's been pretty cool. Yeah, thank you, James Maynard. for your news. Now, what we really want to check out. Let's take a peek at the top 10 strange animals that washed ashore in 2020, shall we? So, the giant squid. Honestly, that's the best thing. Yeah. So, how big was this sucker? Because, yeah, they're like, it's a giant squid, and you always think it's 100 feet long. What is this one? Is probably... Where do you see? Well, a giant squid washed on shore. They're not giving the exact highs. But, pretty cool. That is it here. And it is very big. You can see some shells next to it. So, I don't know. I wouldn't want to mess with it. It looks bigger than a person. That's giant to me. It's not Nautilus wrecking size, but you know. There was a 7-armed octopus. So they found a weird octopus that was not supposed to be there. Climate change is making things migrate. So a mutation, octopuses regrew an extra arm. Fisherman found it. Man, I was hoping that this list of weird washed up animals was going to be better. Oh, that's terrifying. Man finds giant spider dragging his goldfish out of a pond. That is a koi, too. That is a big ass fish. Whew, is a nursery web spider. Damn. That's terrifying. Oh. And this turtle was very sick because they ate a shitload of plastic. Sucks. And I guess a shark got killed by a swordfish, so pretty cool, but the swordfish is probably dead from that, so ugh. Yeah, you look up these things, you'll see guys holding them up like these giant bugs from the sea. I can't believe not a very good list. Well, it's done. Boom, sorry. One more. Let's try this one, shall we? The strangest medical cases of 2020 from MSN. Okay. Which is probably pulled from somewhere else. Well, it's Rachel Retner. Thank you, Rachel, for checking out green urine. A 62-year-old man was hospitalized after he was found to have high levels of carbon dioxide in his blood. Whoa! He was put on a ventilator and a general anesthetic called propofol. Was that the one that Michael Jackson was fond of dosing himself with? Anyway, 5 days later, the man's urine turned green in its catheter bag. But it was propofol. So if you're getting like real heavily doped up in the hospital and having a great time, your pee turns green. Apparently, that's normal. Well, that's normal. That's not strange, is it? Anyway, a man was allergic to the cold, which is what my mom claims to be. 34-year-old man collapsed after he stepped out of a hot shower into a cold bathroom. Ooh, that's such a nice feeling. Ugh. Wait. No, it's not. The reverse is nice. Anyway, the man was, unless you're at a banya, an old school one, you have to go in the ice. Nice. The man was struggling to breathe and his skin was covered in hives. He was experiencing a life-threatening whole-body allergic reaction known as anaphylaxis. But he was diagnosed with cold urticaria, an allergic reaction of the skin after exposure to the cold. The most common symptom is a red, itchy ash. Get hives. So that's very strange. And honestly, this hits me hard. Lethal licorice. So thankfully, I never eat more than half a bag of licorice at a time. I'm getting older, so the saltier and darker tasting licorice is better for me, which apparently is more full of this chemical. Oh, 2 large packages of licorice every day for weeks. He died 32 hours after arriving at the hospital. So the compound is called glycyrrhizin, which is it messes your potassium levels, and which leads to high blood pressure and an abnormal heart rhythm. So as it blocks the effect of potassium in your body or something, or absorbs it. So do not eat just 2 ounces of black licorice a day for 2 weeks, especially if you're 40 or older. That's me. Shoot. Good to know. All right, everyone. Careful with your black licorice. It's a treat now, and not a lifestyle. And someone had a pierced heart. It was a teen, a 17-year-old, who had a sharp pain in their chest, which was a 1.4-inch sewing pin. He sometimes tailors his clothes and holds sewing pins in his mouth. So remember when they tell you not to do that when you're sewing? Don't do it. And I gotta not do that. Because I've been doing it while I've been fixing my socks. This is 2020, and I'm trying to watch my money. So I've been darning my socks, and I hold one of those pins right there. So yeah, apparently you can pierce your heart. A woman's bladder turned into a brewery when it started fermenting sugar into alcohol. I love the context that this picture's here. Like, honey, can you please pee? I really need to get up for brunch. She needed a liver transplant because she had cirrhosis, and she said she wasn't drinking, but her urine tested positive for alcohol, and it turned out that she had brewing microbes in her bladder. So, auto brewery syndrome. My buddy Ryan, who was on the Big Boy episode of Star Time, this is right up his alley. Dwayne Stagecraft Brewing, check him out. So microbes in the gastrointestinal tract can convert carbs to alcohol, so you can get drunk just from eating carbs. No wonder some people just love bread during quarantine. Haha. So, goddamn. Her condition was so rare, it didn't even have a name yet. It is proposed calling it urinary autobrewery syndrome or bladder fermentation syndrome. UABS or BIFIS. A woman's spleen traveled a foot inside of her body over 48 hours, which is a condition that is rare, but not rare enough to not have a name, because the name is wandering spleen. So the ligaments that keep it at its spot weakened and allow it to migrate inside the body. Oh God. So they're gonna remove her spleen when they do her liver transplant. Oh my God, that's awful. Anyway. Oh, persistent corona. Yep. And I think we've heard about that. I'm trying not to do too much of this today. But there's like, someone had it for 70 days, had the virus in her. She was a 71-year-old woman. So she had a weakened immune system due to leukemia. And so her body couldn't quite clear her white blood cells couldn't quite clear the body out of all the bad stuff. It took a while. But compromised patients having a problem with it. And they got what's the other problem here? I guess that's the basics. Damn. I mean, there's COVID long haulers too. Because this also affects other parts of your body. Some people are having some real issues post-COVID. Sucks. Heart problems, liver, kidney, lung. Luck to everyone. But on the flip side, a man has 3 kidneys in Brazil. So donate one of them, brother. Please. Donate. Damn. I don't think I'll need one, but maybe. Wait, who was the lady that? No, there was a lady that getting. Yeah, this lady might need it. The bladder brewing lady. Please, sir, help this lady out. This is something to warn some other folks that have been on the stream. Hot tub lung. It's a rare condition caused by bacteria that can thrive in warm water. But it's not always linked to hot tubs, as a teen in Australia found when he contracted a disease was indoor swimming pool. Wow, so you can get a disease just for being rich. The analysis of the pool water from the teen's home found it was contaminated with this bacteria. They said they had recently switched the sanitizer used for the pool from chlorine to a non-chlorine alternative. So, watch it out. If you want to get a healthier chemical for your pool, get hot tub lung from your pool, which is not a hot tub. Especially if you're a kind of rich prick that has an indoor bathtub. Except if you're someone with an indoor bathtub. An indoor pool. But if you're listening to this and you have an indoor pool and are rich, and have an indoor pool, you're not a prick actually, and I like you a lot. So please invite me to your home. We can talk about space while we swim in your indoor pool. Thank you. And a woman who went to the emergency room, had complications from surgery she had 6 decades earlier because there was a 1.5-inch calcified stone in her intestines and had been developing over the course of her life. So she had surgery for an intestinal blockage at 6 days old, but a little piece of dormant intestine in her body was left behind, which accumulated substances and became a stone. So that is 1.5 inches. That's substantial. That's bigger than this marble here. That's inside her bowels. So comparison with the can of La Croix or whatever. Damn. That is horrifying. Anyway, that was much better than the strange things that washed ashore list. So, thank you. Oh, this was on Live Science, of course. From Rachel Retner. And that's really about it. A lot of folks here are from the US, but this is from Politico, which is a website I kind of hate. But this is politico.eu, so it is a website I hate, but on other countries' politics. If you're from these countries, then apologies in advance. Just wanted to look because this is very funny, and I just want to remember in January when the executive of Nissan hid in a cello case, because I'm gonna give ads an aside here. There we go. Yeah, that's much better. Yeah, so back in January 2020, news that the boss of one of the world's biggest companies fled from the authorities by hiding in a musical instrument case was shocking. When Nissan's Carlos Ghosn fled house arrest in Japan in late 2019, he did so in a large box. So Lebanon apparently has a news channel called MTV and reported that a paramilitary group entered Ghosn's home under the guise of a band playing at a Gregorian dinner and later left, with Ghosn hiding in a double bass case. The case was so large that airport staff were unable to scan it, allowing him to sneak himself out of the country and into Lebanon through Turkey. And it made the list because the details didn't emerge until January. And that's also when Yamaha tweeted the following. We won't mention the reason, but there have been many tweets about climbing inside of large musical instrument cases. A warning after any unfortunate accident would be too late, so we ask everyone not to try it. So, yeah, coming in at the tail end of this list, but that is such a weird thing. It is very funny. An actual executive potentially getting some pushback for being a crook, and then getting out of it in the most hilarious. Honestly, you're gonna get out of it by hiding in a musical instrument case. That's kind of metal. I'll give you that. Madonna saves Europe. Whatever. Ice cream makes you gay. Oh, the Russian member of the Russian Parliament. The current head of the Union of Women. An ice cream name called Rainbow should be banned because it promotes homosexuality. Fuck off with the homophobia there. Ekaterina Lakova. I'm not going to do the funny accent, and I am very pissed that she's saying I have the same negative feelings about the rainbow as I do about the swastika. So, the author here, clearly on the side of good, says, basically also fuck off, Lakova. And I totally forgot. Dr. Stella Emanuel stood in the steps of the U.S. Supreme Court and proclaimed that nobody needs to get sick. This virus has a cure. It's called hydroxychloroquine, which was not true. It turns out that shit is not good for you. But she was big time mystical person. So yeah. Quote, real life ailments stem from the demonic sperm after demon dream sex. So yeah, if people outside of the US are wondering why we're having such a hard time with this when everyone else, while also having a hard time, has not been almost to the brink of ruin by it, that's what we got in this country right now. They're in charge. It's great. I'm taking the crab for a walk. So in Spain, you couldn't go out even for a walk unless you were walking a dog. So people started hiring their dogs out to their neighbors and taking other animals, but the rules only apply to dogs. So police actually find people who are walking goats, chickens, and crabs. and the ban extended to canaries and pot-bellied pigs. So people even dressed up as dinosaurs. Costume. That's wild to get around the ban too. So people still did not like being inside and did whatever they could to be out. I mean, I will have moved to the country in a county where stuff was very loosely enforced. So if I wanted to go for a run next to a field, I could. I was very, very lucky. But still try to remember to bring my mask in case I ran into anyone on the open road, which occasionally did happen. Please mask up when you go out. Or at least bring it with you in case you bump into this. You never know. One day it was extremely cold out and I went for a run. I did not bring the mask. Apparently everyone else in town wanted to go for a run at the same time. It was extremely, I felt like a dick. Ghent is shit? Oh! So, in Ghent, the Belgian city became less appealing because of wildkakkers. In the summer, with public toilets closed because of the pandemic, many people who were caught short simply relieved themselves in the great outdoors of the city. So locals kicked up a stink. Good job. During the lockdown, there appeared to be a great shortage of classic toilets. This resulted in the phenomenon of, quote, wild poop. Helena Nachtergaal told Het Nieuwsblad, I'm so sorry, Belgian and Dutch people. Sorry. Donald Trump's stupid thing at the Four Seasons Total Landscaping, blah blah. Driving blind. What? I don't understand this. Might be the orgy? Oh, yeah. Yeah, an anti-gay politician was caught at a gay orgy. So, you know. Don't be a hypocritical dick, please. Or someone's gonna catch you being a hypocrite in a very embarrassing way. But, you know. Whatever. Ugh. Anyway. That's kind of it for the top 10 lists, really. We've hung out for about 50 minutes. Ate some creme brulee, which is extremely good. Thank you again, Jasmine. We wish Jasmine the best. Thanks to the couple folks that were joined us despite some New Year's fatigue. I hope this was a fun time. I hope you had a chill time. Maybe we learned a little bit about things, and thank you for listening uninterrupted to my voice rambling for nearly an hour. Yeah, and thank you for putting up with me, so I tried to put on at least something a little entertaining, despite also being tired, mostly because I too was up, but not partying, because mostly drinking these, and with my bladder that does not create alcohol, watching PBS, but I'm still old now, and I cannot stay up late anymore. Thank you all, and it's been a hell of a year, and we've had a wonderful time making shows for everyone. I think we said that last night. Look forward to doing some more, and we're gonna, of course, keep changing up the formats and titles and everything. We don't really know what we're doing, and anyone that says they do probably doesn't, unless they've been doing it for more than 22. Exceptions may apply. People are very skilled at it, etc. I guess I should shout out some of the things I like this year, just streaming wise and stuff. We have movie night with our friends from Cosme Crew. It's always fun. There's been the discovery of Steve 1989 MRE info. I made a tribute video to him yesterday. Who knew a man eating expired food could be so compelling? I very much enjoyed the Film Cow game streams. That is by the gentleman that brought you probably most famous for Charlie the Unicorn. We also had another great series called basically where he just kept hitting things with a car. But the game stream is a very chill, fun time. It's actually happening now, so if you go to Film Cow on Twitter or on YouTube, Jesus, I'm tired. There'll be something. I think it's like Dreamcast and D2 right now, but it's like older systems and often Sega systems. So it's very fun because there's things I always wanted to get and never got. I got to experience them via a very chill, fun, positive environment. And yes, good podcast. I do love the Death Panel. We're keeping up with all kinds of healthcare related news. They're fantastic. Death Panel podcast. I highly recommend, and please support their Patreon because they are doing actual fucking public service work. Really great stuff about vaccinations, coronavirus, the state of healthcare in America, what we can do to improve things. Very inspirational podcast in a very dire time and about a very dire subject, especially if you're in America. So that's off to the death panel, folks. And in other countries, I don't know. I listen to a set of podcasts in the US, but I listen to an Australian one called Bunta Vista, which is fun. Nice, funny Australians. And it is nice to hear about another country's problems. So hats off. And they also have lots of good, weird news. So if you like some of the weird news that we talk about, you may enjoy Bunta Vista as well. Because they always love talking about animals gone wild or weird science stuff, in addition to complaining about their own politicians. I don't know, there's so many good things that people have done this year. There's so many great things, and I'm just missing a ton of stuff. I could just go on forever, and I don't know why I'm feeling like this all of a sudden. I was just gonna end the stream. So I just wanted to, like, let folks know some more cool stuff to check out, I guess. Anyway, thank you all for coming. Thank you for coming to our weird show. I hope, again, pleasant tidings and a lovely evening. I'll see you again next week, and we'll talk about what's coming up, what to look for in the skies in 2020. So yeah, that'll be fun. Stay tuned.